Hello and welcome to a new mini-series centered around Quasar 4X. In this series, I'll be going over what exactly Quasar 4X is. This will be done in the same fashion as the conventional starting steps for Master Series, and will show off the initial start a person might expect when playing Quasar. Furthermore, I will also be going over the specific differences between it and Aurora 4X C#. So what is Quasar 4X? Let us answer that question. Quasar 4X is a game built on the Godot game engine and is designed from the ground up as a replica of the original Aurora 4X, specifically Aurora 4X Visual Basic 6 version 7.1. The game's primary purpose was and still is to solve the crippling performance issues that the original version of Aurora had. Along with solving those issues, the developer known as Kyle has also put focus on supporting significant modding within the game, and since this is based on the original Visual Basic 6 rule set, which is very different to modern day C# Aurora, it is essentially a completely different game even if it is a copy, and that is true from the code to the rules themselves. Furthermore, another primary goal of the developer which has now come into focus is that of expanding quality of life features that were originally not part of Visual Basic 6, some of which you can also find in C#, such as the ability to prototype components. If you are interested in learning more about Quasar 4X's more intricate details, you can find that information over on the forums. For now, we'll be discussing why you may want to give Quasar 4X a go and play it yourself, and perhaps even play it over Aurora 4X C#. So let's just have a look at the reasons that you may want to play Quasar 4X over Aurora 4X C#. This section of the video will specifically give a quick overview of the major differences between the two games. So let's start with the positives of Quasar 4X over C#. Number 1. This is both a negative and a positive really, as the game is based on said rules and features. It lacks certain C# advancements like ground combat, but also features what some regard as better UI, certain features like fighter squadron windows, and other UI/quality of life and mechanic benefits. Essentially, you lose some, but you do also gain some things that many people crave for in current day Aurora. And number 2 is modding support. As stated before, the game has modding support as part of one of its key goals. Kyle has built said modding support in and has even added his own mods into the base install of the game. Compare this to C#, where yes, there are mods, but said mods need to be approved and are less impactful. Quasar embraces them, and the hope by many is that Quasar will be vastly added onto because of it. This is a big reason why many will choose to play this game. Number 3, accessibility and UI. Even over VB6, the UI has been improved from individual screens to the overall colours used, and on top of that, there have been improvements such as resizable windows built in, which help significantly, especially for those with smaller monitors or for those that have issues with C#'s colour scheme on their eyes. Furthermore, since it is based off that VB6 rule set, the accessibility is pretty high, as the wiki and many other older forms of information from the last 20 years are still applicable and can be utilised as such. Now next up are some of the major cons going from C# to Quasar. Number 1, losing the C# rule set. By playing Quasar, you lose almost all the features of C#, from the revamped ground combat to how ships refuel, ship calculations, and even the AI itself. So while it can be a benefit to some to have that VB6 rule set, it also means you lose years of developments that you've made as you created the Aurora 4X C# universe. So when deciding which game to play, think about this before you do so. Number 2, there are less players than C#. Due to the prevalence and practical replacement of VB6 with C# and the continuous and massive updates over the last nearly 2 years, C# has a much bigger player base than Quasar 4X and VB6. And as such, this can affect especially new players' ability to ask questions and get information as readily from up-to-date tutorials. Stability issues and loss of even VB6 features is up next in number 3. Primarily due to the fact that Quasar 4X is not done yet, you may find stability issues, bugs, and certain features are still not in. Such as the spoiler race invaders. I have also encountered bugs in my first few games of Quasar 4X, so keep that in mind. However, the developer is active and updates are fairly regular, so hopefully these issues will be implemented or fixed. And now that you know what Quasar 4X is, the positives and cons to it from Aurora 4X C#, you are now equipped to make a preliminary decision on if you should play it or not. If you're still not decided if you're interested or just want to see what it's like, then the rest of this video should appeal to you, as I'll be playing it from this episode to a final episode 5 as part of the mini-series. I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hello and welcome to the game, as in the intro and the introduction to what Quasar Forex is. I hope you guys do understand what we're getting ourselves into today. But here we are, Quasar Forex. After a long time of uploading C#, I've decided to also do some other games, some spin-offs of Aurora Forex C#. And what better way to start it is with Quasar Forex. Now this means we're going to be playing essentially VB6, but with this new version developed by Kyle, as I said in the intro, and just fantastic work has been done, and breakneck piece of upgrades have been made. I mean, I originally started work on this video when it was at version 158. It's now version 165. So that means that there's been another 7 updates in between that time. That was only a couple of days ago. So we're going to basically be doing this like in the Adventure Starting Steps Remaster series. So I'm going to create a new game. Now, a lot of older people are going to get very nostalgic at seeing all of this, and I get a little bit nostalgic too. This is the old VB6 character, or not the character, but game creation screen with the game details, and then the game here itself. You'll notice a few things missing, of course, from C#, like you can't change the research modifier, you can't change survey speed modifier, and there's a few other changes you can't make. But anyhow, we're going to create our game. We're going to name it YouTube game. We're going to give a starting year of 2025. That's fine with me. We're going to call ourselves the United Nations of Earth, because I'm just feeling like doing that nowadays. And we'll have a short name of UN for our short name. We're going to have player race. Keep in mind, if you change this to like democracy or whatever, that will change your laboratories. So keep that in mind when selecting that. We're going to play a conventional start because I do like my conventional starts. We can't change research speed, so I do want to start conventional just to make sure it's a little bit easier to handle, and also to give you guys a better ground floor. Main Empire theme is going to be Terran Federation, with a commander theme of English being fine as well. We're going to start with 6 jump points, and we're going to have no starting tech points. We're going to have 5 labs, 1 shipyard, which is usually the normal start, with a population of 500 million people. Now, if we come over to here, we're going to start, of course, in Sol. Then we look at our non-computer components. So these are the spoilers from Aurora. Keep in mind that, like in the intro, the invaders are not yet implemented, so you cannot use those. However, precursors and Star Swarm are, and so we'll be having those on. Though I doubt we'll find either, maybe precursors, maybe. Because this will be a mini-series, so I won't be going on for that long. Next up is non-player races. I'm going to turn this to 0 to help with performance. Now, Quasar has massively improved performance from Visual Basic 6 and is basically on the level of C#, though there are some differences in terms of capability, but generally you're going to have a decent experience either. Yeah, generating its NPRs, and I'm not going to mess with any of these. So we're going to keep orbital motion on. Usually in VB6 you would turn this off because of speeds, and everything else I'm going to largely keep on. We're going to create the game, and there we go. Game has been created, and we're going to get into it. Select enter game. So we're going to select that game. And like in VB6, you're going to have this. So unlike in C# where you enter into a game immediately, you enter with this toolbar at the top. This toolbar has a lot of things that are very useful on it. For example, you can add themes, add ship names, select default races, turn Space Master on. This is how you do Space Master. You can look at, these are all how to control your empire. I'll get to this in a bit. Calculations, you can either do dice rolls in here if you really want to, for RP and stuff like that. We can toggle full screen, which I'm going to keep on for now. That does help just make everything look a little bit nicer. We can also compact the database, reload window positions, and then in Quasar for itself, we can back up the database, but most importantly, we can also put mods on. So if you wish, you can enable these mods, and they will take effect in game. So you can add in military geosensors, which I have enabled. In the original Visual Basic 6 version, geological sensors were considered commercial components. This was a mistake that Steve admitted to and said that he just forgot to sort it out. So you can turn that on if you want to have a more authentic experience, depending on your viewpoint. There's also a couple of these. I don't know exactly know what they do, but I think they do various things. But the most important thing is if you want, you can add mods straight into here, and you can get them sorted out, and you can see exactly where they're loaded from and stuff. So we're going to go into the game. So to do so, you're going to press F3. There we go, and we're now in the game. The great thing as well, before we get into all of this stuff, is we can now drag. So I'm gonna drag all of these down and up, and there we go. The second thing is to understand before, when you're moving around the tactical map. So we've got the resizable windows. There's no drag move. So I'm trying to drag right now. I can't do that. You need to use the middle mouse button to move around like this. There we go. That is what you need to do. And you can also zoom in with the scroll button. Really smooth. This is really nice performance here. Again, different to C# because it is built on the Go.game engine. Okay, a lot of this is largely the same. I'm not going to go over everything like I did in my original Conventional Steps Remaster series, but I am going to kind of show the differences. So, of course, this is different, the display options here. I actually really like this, and you'll notice the UI is beautiful. I love the grey UI. It really helps have a look at things. So, show events, show recs, highlight own colonies, so we can highlight own colonies like that, show fleet headings, and all this stuff. Then we have all bodies, contact information, which allows us to turn civilian transport the contacts off, sense contacts. A lot of this is the same as C#, but there are going to be some differences. We have sensors over here. Military, we got missile complexes, of course, because this is a conventional VB6 start, so we have missiles and ICBMs. Then over here, we also have extra display options, show geo points, like you can see here, show life pods, max fire control range. There's our conventional ICBMs, which have a range of 100,000 kilometers, which is pretty damn small if you have a look at it, but there we go. So a lot of really cool things over there. We're now going to go through and do our industry and kind of explain as we go along. So this is the industry tab. I love the industry tab. There's a lot of great things. You can make stuff the capital. You also have production overview. Like here's the production overview. Really nice. Allows you to see how production is going. Gives you a lot better of an overview of your entire empire. We also have geological status, as you can see here. Designing turrets, missiles, and a bunch of other things. We're going to go to our industry tab now. So this is pretty much exactly the same as C#. There is a few differences. So we'll go through them. But one thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to create myself a military academy. So that's what we'll do. And create ourselves one military academy. Then if we go down to fuel, we're going to keep making some fuel for now, but we'll stop that soon. And then you can see we can build PDCs. So if we wanted to, we could build more of those missile complexes. I, however, do not want to build conventional ICBMs because conventional ICBMs, funnily enough, aren't very well, and we'll get to that in a little bit as well. Another thing to keep in mind is you need to also build maintenance supplies manually through not manually, but through the infrastructure tab, through the industrial tab like this. So if you're worrying where to get maintenance supplies from, that's why. This is our mining and production. Pretty much the exact same. There's no real differences. Some of the calculations are a little different, but I won't get into it. Either way, those are our minerals. Then managing. Also, it shows the mineral requirements. Something that's really important, and I should have gotten to this in the summary. I'm not sure why I wasn't in the summary, but here we are. Is maintenance facilities only matter to the max ship size. So you could have 10 1,000-ton vessels, and that's fine. In C#, however, you need 10,000 tons of capacity for all of those ships, in terms of you need 10,000 tons of maintenance facility capacity. And this is just a maximum ship size. So that's a big difference that you're going to see between the two games. Second off as well, a lot of this is just the same. There's really nothing much different. So keep that in mind. Then we have our shipyard. This is pretty much identical. There is a few differences. Quasar added continual capacity expansion that C# has as well, which is nice. And there's a few other like necessities you'll find in here that are a little bit different, but definitely useful. And I'm going to increase this capacity up to 2,000 tons. Then we have shipyard task, of course. We can lower priority, rename ship, schedule, all that stuff. And now research. Research, pretty much the same. The only thing that I really have a gripe with in Quasar here is in one of the later patches of Aurora for C#, they added the new labs function, which allowed you to assign new labs, the toggle new labs onto a research, and then as you built labs, that would go into that research. That is not a thing here, and so it's not great. There are some improvements, like you can get fast track, And you can see there's even tooltips. He's done tooltips for a lot more of this stuff, which he's kind of wanted to focus on more. Kyle, that is. And that's definitely been pretty handy. So we're going to assign some scientists, and we're going to do Trans-Newtonian technology here. That's going to give us 1,100 RP. That'll take us till 2029 of July 17th. There's also policy here, which I'm not sure. This is completely new from Visual Basic 6, and I haven't been keeping up with the changelogs, but fleets that complete an order will also have their main supply topped off when possible. So yeah, there's these policies, which is really cool. I like to see where this goes. Definitely very interesting here. Then we have an environment, which you can see here. There are some changes, like there's no fragesium and anatesium. Also, genetic modification is a thing and does exist, as it is Visual Basic 6 rules. So that is very exciting. We may get into, I want to get into that at some point. And now the big thing. There's no ground combat in the way that C# does it. And because of that, we have teams. Now, because we have teams, that means that we can do a few things which are a little cheeky, such as send, like, teleport geology teams to places and do other weird stuff. Either way, we have a bunch of teams, and we can assign stuff with them, and these guys are essentially, if you haven't played VB6, how you uncover decipher ruins, how to geologically survey planets, and they act in that fashion, and they're made up of 5 people. This also shows POWs, commanders stationed at the colony, transferring ships, espionage targets, and then officer graduates. Then we have the Civ and industrial status. One thing that I really love about VB6 over C# in this regard, even though we are missing a lot of stuff from C#, is the fact that you can shut down any of your industries, right? So if I want to shut down my fuel refineries from here, I can do that. If I want to shut down my manned mines, I can do that. And they'll stop using wealth, and they'll stop using workers, and that is really cool. Now on to our ground forces. As you can see, not exactly the C# megalomania of hierarchy like it is. Instead, yeah, instead we have to deal with this, which is basically just a bit of chess, or rock, paper, scissors. You just have a bunch of these infantry, and then you just initiate ground combat with this. It's not very eloquent, but it does what it needs to do. Okay, it was the original VB6 ground combat. It was never really focused on in VB6, and then C# came along and really revamped it, and it still needs revamped in my opinion, but it is here. So we have a bunch of low tech and low armor infantry. Then ground force training activity. We can obviously train those guys up. Wealth and trade, looking snazzy as always. And that's pretty much it. I also like that you can have time control at the top here, which is always nice. Let's go and look at our ship designs. So, as I said that I would get to the missile complexes. So, this is a missile complex. It has 10 ICBM silos, and it can fire 10 ICBMs. Those ICBMs have a warheads of 6 with a speed of 10 kilometers per second. So, that's very fast if you think about it in terms of modern day, but not very fast when you think about it in terms of Aurora. And so not going to be too successful. Also, these can't hit anything because they don't have any active sensors, so that's another problem. Either way, these are some ICBMs. We're not going to be building any of these, but we can develop PDCs, which is really, really cool, and we'll want to potentially do that in the future going forward. I will get to all of this once we start designing our survey vessel, but for now, we're going to wait on that. Next up, we have commanders. This is quite similar, though different. You'll notice a lot of things. So you have tour lengths, you have all your guys here you can add in. You get a summary of the officer ratings and bonuses. And then you can see unassigned officers and all of that stuff. I'm going to auto-assign my officers if possible. And also we can have a look at promotion rules. I love this about Quasar. From what I've seen, Kyle is actually inputting tooltips. He's inputting information like these rules and stuff that show it a lot more. And maybe that's from VB6, but it's also really, really useful. This can also show your vacancies, which is nice. Highly rated officers. And then we can transfer stuff to new races for SM stuff. And then we can also show a list of commands that people are currently assigned to. So we've got a bunch of colonels currently in charge, as well as a civilian administrator over Earth right now. We also can create medals. This is something that was not in VB6, but is in Quasar, taken from C Sharp, of course, and that's really, really cool. Or was it in V? It probably may have been in VB6, but I just what you call it, haven't. It's been a while since I played VB6, but either way, it is in, and it's either been improved or better in that you can now take medals. So, for example, open. There we go. We got a medal there, and then we can assign that medal, and we can give information regarding it. We're going to put automated assignments on as well, just to get everything sorted with that, and we're going to close out the window. Next up is going to be the task groups window. Task groups have changed also quite a bit. Well, not changed, but this is the original task groups in that you have task group orders, which looks pretty familiar. You then have task forces, which are entire like headquarters, and you can kind of think of them in the same way. But a task group's basically a fleet, and you have to give special orders. You have to move stuff with this instead of dragging. And then you have your conditional orders. You have your tows. You start task force training through here, which requires fuel and other stuff. You then have officers and MISC, and then naval organization, which is its entire another thing. But yeah, we're just gonna get some increments on the way because there isn't too much more I want to show you guys just yet. You'll see it as we start to play the game. So let me just turn on events real quick. So keep in mind, events come at the bottom of the screen, unlike at the top of the screen, which is interesting. So here we go. We're going to do 1 day increments now. There we go. That's that speed we were looking for. And you can see the game processing through that. So now we're going to do 5 day increments. You have to turn that off. You can also turn on no interrupts, so you don't want to get interrupted by anything. But be careful using that. You could get kind of blindsided. Sodium production in shortage. We're going to stop that, and we're going to continue on incrementing through each individual day here. We're currently on August. What we're really waiting for here is going to be our transneutronic technology before we can start to really do anything. So we're just going to continue on these 5 day increments. But yeah, really great, the performance of the game, and I'm really, really happy. Though keep in mind, when you're incrementing, you can't move around the map, unlike in C Sharp where you can. So don't try. I'm trying to move right now and I can't. But you can see the orbital motion of all the planets and stuff moving around. 2,000 tons of capacity were added to our shipyard. We're going to increase that now to a extra slipway, and that'll be done on 2029. We want to get our first survey vessel out so we can discover geological and survey information and various other things that we will need. Military academy is completed. I'm going to order up another military academy because that's going to be important. Because we want to obviously keep our academy and keep our people trained up enough so we have enough science bonuses to really do well in regards to that. Now in 2027, 2029, I believe was the time when we got transneutronic technology, though I may be mistaken. Now in January, we're going up to February. Is there a better scientist I can assign? No, there is not, but we will be done on 2029 at June 12th. So hopefully we'll be able to get that done. About a year off now as it hits June, now July, and going through the year here. And then once transneutronic is done, we're going to have to do our industrial sorting, and we're also going to have to sort out our further research efforts. Slipway added to shipyard, which is fantastic news. And then we're going to wait here for June to arrive. There we go, transneutronic technology, which is a big deal. Then we're going to start research into a few things. First thing we're going to start researching with 3 laboratories is a pressurized water reactor. The second thing with 2 laboratories is going to be geological survey sensors. Those will be done on 2031. I'm then going to order this after it's done with that to begin converting industry. We're going to convert 600. We'll do 600 into construction factories. So we'll put this at 60% of what we want converted. Then we're going to do 300 into mines at 30%. We're then going to have 50 at 5% of fuel refineries, and then 50 at 5% of financial centers. Oh, we can't build financial centers. Convert financial centers. That's unfortunate. So I'm then going to increase this then to 650 at 65%. There we go, and we'll get those done. Once the military academy has finished up as well. Do we have any better scientists? Still no. That's unfortunate. Let's continue doing our 5-day increments through the game. These episodes are also going to be a lot shorter than Uncut, maybe, so keep that in mind. Mainly just because I don't want to drag them on a little bit too long, and I want them to be informative and you to understand. But yeah, the goal of this episode is going to be trying to get that server vessel out really by the end of the episode. So that's probably where we're going to end ourselves off. We're just waiting for, realistically speaking, we're waiting for the better sensors. Something that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take away one from you, and I'm going to put that onto defensive weapons. I'm going to go for uranium armor. Explicitly because uranium armor is going to be very, very important in space savings for our vessels. So we're just going to continue doing 5-day increments here. A bunch of auto assignments after 5 years did pass there. And we should be having our first vessels leave dry dock by the 2035. If assuming we can get the design sorted out. Okay, pressurized water reactor just completed. And now we need nuclear thermal engine technology. Looks like we did just get a defensive systems person though. However, that's a big deal. So we're going to now put that person onto uranium armor, and that means we're going to be done by July of next year, which is a little under a year's time. November now, December, and we're marching on nearly 10 years after the start date. We've still not launched our first ship yet, but I mean, what can you do? You just gotta wait. That's the beings of a conventional start. Uranium armor finished up research, so I'm now going to put the rest into nuclear thermal engine technologies to try and get that done where possible. So continuing on, November, December, there we go. Geological survey census has completed. I'm now going to put all of our technology into power and propulsion. And I'm going to take away you, and that's going to slow us down but for now, but we need to train up a power and propulsion scientist, otherwise we're going to have problems. So there we go. We put that into research, so we should hopefully now have, I'm going to go for 30 increments now just to speed this up. There we go, 30-day increments. And this is all VB6, by the way, so it's amazing seeing this speed. The game's not VB6, that is, but it's based, the rule set's based on VB6. So you can basically play VB6 here completely fine with this performance. Okay, our engine completed, so now I'm going to, we need to start designing our vessel. So we're going to create a new vessel. Discovery class works. That's what I used to call my vessel, so a little bit of nostalgia there. We're going to call it a survey corvette. And we're going to design ourselves some engines. And like as you can see here, this is the old design window. There's also prototypes now as a thing. And you can see your components on the right hand side here, which you can remove by just double clicking on that area. So we're going to design ourselves an engine. Here is the design window, by the way. Really nice. We show your size in tons if the HS is there and you want to see just tonnage. And we're going to create ourselves some engines. So I'm going to create some 1.0. Let's do 50% engine. So we're going to need 2 750 tons. So how about a 750 ton EP750? If I did one of those, that would give us less. How much would that reduce on our fuel? That would almost reduce it by half. So I'm going to go with that engine. We can prototype that design. There we go. And it gets automatically updated. And then we're going to add that engine in over here. So we're going to add 2 of those engines. And then we're going to add in our geological survey sensors. I'm going to add 2 of those. And then the rest we're going to need fuel for, even if we are obviously a bit slower. And we're going to need to up our deployment time. So I'm going to go for 24 months. And I'm going to add in some maintenance. So 1 extra maintenance bay there. And then we're going to add in the extra fuel storages. There we go. That gives us a 55 billion kilometer fuel capacity, which is pretty good. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with this design. We're going to then research prototype. This is how you research prototype. You select from here and then you click this. There we go, research. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to begin to design said or going to begin to research said engine. So go over here, research, hit create on the engine, and that'll take us to September 23rd, at which case we will have the engine design, and then we can begin to design and build our vessel. which is what we want. So now we're going to go over to industry. But before we go into industry, actually, we're going to go over to our design, and I'm going to go to ships in class, design, ordnance, component summary, glossary. Where the hell is the naming themes? I can't do naming things, can I? Because it's VB6. I forgot. That's my fault. So I need to go to industry, and so now we're going to build the vessel. We're going to retool really quick for the discovery class. There we go. And we're going to call the first vessel the UNN Discovery. So the United Nations, or UNS Discovery, my bad. Discovery. We're going to build that into the shipyard task group. There we go. Then we're going to build the UNS Intrepid. Oh, that's a good name. And we'll have both of those vessels done by December of 2035 to celebrate the anniversary of the game start. So let's increment on. Oh, and it also stops you if you have research labs active, which is really nice. We're now going to put research into a few things. First off, I'm going to be training up you. I'm going to go for fuel efficiencies. The next thing is I'm going to go for construction and production efforts. I want to go for sorium. We're going to go for logistics, my bad. And we're going to go for cargo handling systems and cryogenic transport. So first off, we're going to go for cryogenic transport, logistics, and ground combat. And we'll try and get that done. So that will be 1,200 research. And then we're also going to put in the queue cargo handling. There we go. And now we wait for our first vessels. And hopefully they will begin to discover the stars. And that'll probably be the end of the episode. Though, I think we made a lot of progress here. The first 10 years in the game. And so I'm really excited to continue this series as this mini-series and hopefully eventually leave the system. There we go. Cryogenic transport's just finished. And we should be finishing up our first 2 vessels ever made here shortly. There we go. And you can even see the survey bonus down there. So Captain Rice Bevan has been assigned to UNS Discovery. Captain Andrew Lucas has been assigned to the UNS Intrepid. Both vessels have been constructed. And if we go over to our Naval Organization tab, we can see both vessels sitting here. Though the fuel situation, not looking too hot. We're going to have to start that back up. So I'm going to wait a little bit on that. So I'm just going to wait 5 days. And then I'm going to have them order up a refuel. But before we do that, I'm going to create a new task group. I'm going to rename the task group and we're going to call it Survey Fleet 1. And then I'm going to create a new one, Survey Fleet 2. Then I'm going to go over to my shipyard task group. I'm going to go over to this organization and we're going to move said vessels into each fleet. The Discovery, I'm going to order that to begin a surveying of the system. So we're going to do survey next 5 system bodies. We're going to refuel less than 40% and we're going to refuel a colony. There we go. Exactly what we want. And also, if your supply point is less than 20, then go and begin a overhaul and colony. And we're going to do, I've collected on 1, my bad. Survey next 5 system bodies, refuel 40%. Then refuel a colony, and then supply points, and then where is it? Overhaul and the colony. Then we'll do the exact same thing for Survey Fleet 2. So survey next 5 system bodies, refuel 40%, refuel a colony. Then over here, supply points less than 20, you begin the overhaul. And on top of that, I'm going to go over to here, I'm going to go to policy, and fleets that complete in order to resupply overall its colony will have their fuel topped off. Yep, we're going to do both of those things. So that they refuel and resupply when there. Okay, so now that means that we're going to have our 2 vessels, Survey Fleet 1, those vessels, the Survey Fleet 1 and Survey Fleet 2, begin their surveying. So they're going to survey Luna and Mercury. So I want to see that happen. So 1 day increments. Do we get anything onto this place? No, we did not. So now we're going to be surveying Mercury, seeing if we find anything. We did find some things. We found 1.3 million. We can see minimal text here. There we go. We saw 1.3 million uranium, 0.7 access, and 3 million tons of galisite, as well as some boronite. And you can see all the planets that have been surveyed or not surveyed over here as well. I think that's where I'm going to leave the episode off. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more Quasar 4X in the future. I think this has been a great start, first 10 years, explaining what Quasar 4X is, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.